The moment you hear the phrase penis size is most important then, something in your mind reacts instantly. Maybe you laugh, maybe you roll your eyes, maybe you shift in your seat, wondering if this is going to be crude, awkward, or wildly inappropriate. But here's the thing, this isn't just about anatomy. This is about the way we measure worth and how, somewhere along the way, we started believing that numbers, inches, amounts, and scales could define us. We live in a culture that thrives on comparison. We compare our bodies, our relationships, our jobs, our bank balances, the square footage of our homes, the speed of our cars, the likes on our posts, and yes, the size of body parts. It's an obsession and it's exhausting. And here's the truth that no one really tells you: size, any size, without meaning, without intention, without care, is absolutely meaningless. It's like having the biggest house in the world with nothing inside but dust and emptiness. It's like having a massive bank account, but waking up every day anxious, stressed, and disconnected from yourself. We have been sold the idea that more is better. More followers means more influence. More money means more freedom. More physical endowment means more desirability. But all of it falls apart when you realize that size does not equal satisfaction, connection, or joy. What actually matters is substance. What actually matters is the person behind the measurements, their kindness, their courage, their humor, their ability to listen, their capacity to love without conditions. The most intimate and magnetic moments in life have nothing to do with inches, numbers, or comparisons. They happen when you're fully present. They happen when you look someone in the eye, and they know you truly see them. They happen when you show up at 2 in the morning for a friend who's falling apart. When you make someone laugh so hard their stomach hurts. When you choose to be honest even though it's uncomfortable. The most attractive quality in a human being is not size, it's confidence. And confidence doesn't magically appear because you were born with a certain body type or a certain bank balance. Confidence is earned. Confidence is built in the quiet moments when you keep a promise to yourself. It's built every time you do the thing you said you were going to do. It's built when you push through fear, when you try again after failing, when you decide yourself. Worth will not be dictated by what someone else says you are. The people who radiate real presence and power are not the ones who measure the most. They're the ones who know who they are and refuse to shrink or apologize for it. That's the truth no one tells you when you're busy comparing yourself to some standard you never agreed to in the first place. And here's the challenge. You can keep chasing measurements your whole life and still feel small inside. Or you can start building substance today. Stop scrolling through your feed and torturing yourself with comparisons. Stop thinking the answer to your insecurity is to add more inches, more followers, more zeros. Start focusing on depth, on character, on action. Learn how to speak up. Learn how to listen without judgment. Learn how to show love without keeping score. When you know your worth, when you've done the work to live in integrity with yourself, no ruler, no number, no opinion, and no standard can take that away. And that, right there, is the only measurement that will ever matter. Size without substance is meaningless, and yet so many people spend their lives chasing size as if it's the ultimate measure of value. This isn't just about physical measurements. It's about everything society has taught us to idolize. Bigger paychecks, bigger houses, bigger followings, bigger bodies, bigger anything. We're conditioned to believe that more automatically equals better. And in that chase, we often forget to ask the only question that really matters: what's inside? A massive diamond that's fake is worth less than a small one that's real. A giant cake with no flavor will get pushed aside for a smaller one that's rich, moist, and delicious. The outside might get attention for a moment, but it's what lies beneath that keeps people interested, connected, and invested. Size is a surface metric. It's easy to see, easy to compare, and easy to measure. That's why it's such a tempting trap. But substance, that's different. Substance can't be faked for long. It's the depth of your character, the consistency of your actions, the truth of your intentions. It's the thing that remains when all the shiny distractions fade away. Without it, even the biggest, most impressive looking thing becomes hollow. You can have the biggest audience in the world, but if you have nothing valuable to share, your influence dies the moment the novelty wears off. You can have a massive house, but if it's cold, empty, and filled with tension, it will never feel like home. You can have an impressive title at work, but if you don't have the skills or the integrity to back it up, that title becomes a joke. We mistake size for power because size is visible. You can't miss it. A towering skyscraper commands attention just by existing. A luxury car turns heads without even trying. But true power isn't about taking up more space, it's about the quality of the space you take up. A person who speaks with honesty and clarity can command a room without ever raising their voice. Someone with empathy and self-awareness can make others feel seen and valued without needing the loudest personality in the room. This is why people who chase size without developing substance eventually hit a wall. They may get the attention they wanted, but they can't sustain it because there's nothing underneath for others to connect with. It's like a balloon, bright, big, and noticeable, but full of nothing but air. One small puncture and it's gone. Substance, on the other hand, is like a stone, maybe smaller at first glance, but solid, enduring, and impossible to crush without significant effort. The obsession with size can also distract us from what actually creates value. We spend so much time trying to appear bigger that we neglect the things that would make us genuinely stronger: learning, practicing, failing, improving, connecting. A business owner might pour resources into making their store look huge and impressive, while neglecting the quality of their products. A person might work tirelessly to bulk up their appearance, but neglect their health, emotional well-being, or relationships. The irony is that when you focus on building substance first, size often follows naturally. But when you focus on size first, substance rarely develops alongside it. This is because substance takes time, effort, and humility. It requires you to do unglamorous work that nobody sees, to be consistent even when it's boring, to be willing to fail and learn without rushing to show off. It's slower, but it's lasting. Size can be lost overnight. Substance, once built, is far harder to take away. This is why the people who truly leave a mark are rarely the ones who were simply the biggest at what they did. They're the ones who created something meaningful, who stood for something real, who had a depth of character that made others want to follow, trust, and remember them. You can inflate numbers, exaggerate achievements, and put on a show, but if it's hollow, it will eventually collapse. If you build depth, skill, and integrity, even if the outer shell changes, the core remains strong. Confidence is built, not born, and yet so many people walk through life believing that those who carry themselves with ease and certainty must have been blessed with some magical gift at birth. The truth is, confidence is rarely an accident. It's the result of countless choices, repeated actions, and small wins that accumulate over time. People who seem effortlessly confident have often spent years facing challenges, learning skills, and proving to themselves that they can handle whatever comes their way. They weren't born fearless. They simply learned through experience that fear doesn't have to control them. Confidence grows from evidence, and evidence comes from doing. Every time you set out to do something and follow through, you strengthen the belief that you are capable. It might be as small as making a phone call you've been avoiding, speaking up in a meeting, or going to the gym when you didn't feel like it. Each one of those acts becomes a deposit into the mental bank account of your self-belief. Over time, those deposits add up, and when life throws something bigger at you, you have reserves to draw on. You don't build confidence by sitting around wishing for it or waiting for the right moment. You build it by acting before you feel ready, by stepping into discomfort and proving to yourself that you can survive it. The problem is that most people think confidence is about never feeling fear or doubt, when in reality, the most confident people feel those emotions all the time. They just don't let them be the final decision makers. They take the step anyway, and in doing so, they train themselves to trust their own abilities. Another misconception is that confidence comes from external validation, that if enough people approve of you, you'll automatically feel secure. External validation can give a temporary boost, but it's fragile. The moment it's taken away, so is the confidence that depends on it. Lasting confidence comes from internal validation, the quiet certainty that you can rely on yourself regardless of what others think. You get there by keeping promises to yourself, by holding yourself accountable, by doing the things you said you would do even when no one is watching. The process is not glamorous. In fact, it's often uncomfortable and inconvenient. Building confidence means facing situations where you might fail. It means learning new skills and enduring the awkward phase of not being good at them yet. It means saying no when it's easier to say yes, speaking up when it's easier to stay quiet, and being willing to be seen in your imperfect, unfinished state. Each time you push through that discomfort, you expand your sense of what's possible for you. Confidence is also built through resilience. Life will knock you down. There's no avoiding it. The difference between someone who loses all faith in themselves and someone who gets back up stronger is in how they interpret setbacks. If you see every failure as proof that you're not good enough, your confidence erodes. If you see it as a chance to learn, adjust, and try again, your confidence grows. That shift doesn't happen automatically. It's a conscious choice to view challenges as part of the process rather than as verdicts on your worth. Small, consistent action is the foundation. You don't need to leap into massive, terrifying situations to become confident. Start small with actions that stretch you just beyond your current comfort zone. Once those become easier, stretch a little further. This gradual expansion builds both skill and self-trust, and over time, those two things create the kind of confidence that can't be faked. The key is to understand that the feeling of confidence often comes after the action, not before it. Waiting to feel confident before you act is like waiting to get warm before you step into the sun. You have to step out first, and the warmth follows. This is why people who seem to have been born confident are often just the ones who took more chances early on, giving themselves more opportunities to practice and prove themselves. True worth comes from character and actions, not from the titles you hold, the wealth you accumulate, or the recognition you receive. It's easy to believe that worth is tied to achievements or status because those are the things the world celebrates most visibly. Promotions, awards, flashy possessions, and public praise often seem like the markers of a valuable life, but they are only surface indicators, and they can be misleading. A person can have all the outward signs of success and still lack the inner qualities that make someone truly admirable. Character is what remains when the outer layers are stripped away. It's how you treat people who can do nothing for you. It's the decisions you make when no one is watching and there's nothing to gain. It's whether you stand by your values when doing so is inconvenient or even costly. True worth grows from a foundation of integrity, honesty, and compassion. These aren't qualities that can be bought, borrowed, or faked for long. They are proven through consistent actions over time. Actions are the physical evidence of who you are. Words matter, but without action behind them, they carry little weight. If you say you value kindness but regularly speak harshly to others, the action cancels the words. If you claim to be trustworthy but break promises, the action reveals the truth. People form their opinions of your worth not from what you say about yourself, but from what you consistently do. This is why character and actions are inseparable in determining true value. Character provides the intention, and actions bring it into reality. One without the other is incomplete. Good intentions without follow-through remain only thoughts. Actions without character can be manipulative or self-serving. Together, they create credibility, and credibility is the currency of real worth. In many ways, character is tested most in moments of pressure. When resources are scarce, when emotions are high, when the stakes are significant, that's when the truth of who you are is revealed. It's easy to be generous when you have more than enough. Easy to be patient when nothing is going wrong. Easy to be ethical when there's no temptation. But true worth is measured in how you behave when the situation is difficult. Do you take shortcuts when you think no one will notice? Do you abandon your principles when it's convenient, or do you stay steady and act in alignment with what you believe is right, even when it costs you something in the short term? Actions in these moments create the stories that people will tell about you long after you're gone. Another aspect of true worth is the impact you have on others. Worth isn't just about personal achievement, it's about contribution. The way you make others feel, the support you offer, the example you set, all of these create ripples that extend beyond you. Someone might never remember the exact words you spoke, but they will remember how you treated them, whether you listened, whether you made them feel valued or dismissed. This kind of impact can't be measured in money or status, yet it's often the most enduring. The trap many people fall into is trying to look valuable instead of actually being valuable. They curate their image, chase symbols of success, and seek validation from others while neglecting the slow, sometimes unglamorous work of building character. But worth built on appearances is fragile. It can crumble the moment circumstances change, the spotlight shifts, or someone exposes the gap between image and reality. Worth built on character and actions is solid. It doesn't depend on outside approval because it's grounded in who you are and what you do consistently. This kind of worth allows you to walk into any room, in any situation, and stand tall. Not because you're the most accomplished or the most recognized, but because you know your value is rooted in something that can't be taken from you. Comparison is a trap that steals joy, and it's one of the most common habits people fall into without even realizing it. From a young age, we're taught to measure ourselves against others. How fast we can run compared to the kid next to us, how high our grades are compared to the class average, how our appearance stacks up against images we see in magazines or on social media. This constant evaluation creates a mindset where our sense of worth is tied to how we think we measure up to someone else's achievements, possessions, or circumstances. The problem is that comparison shifts the focus away from our own growth and experiences. Instead of appreciating what we have, we become fixated on what we think we lack. We stop noticing progress because all we see is the gap between ourselves and someone who seems to be ahead. Even when we do reach a goal, the satisfaction is short-lived because there's always someone else who appears to be doing better. This is why comparison is such an effective thief of joy. It keeps moving the target. No matter how far you go, the finish line is always pushed just a little further out of reach. The trap is made even worse by the way people tend to present only the best parts of their lives in public. Social media amplifies this effect, giving us curated highlight reels that make it look like everyone else is living without struggle, while we see every flaw and failure in our own lives up close. The reality is that those polished moments don't show the full picture. Behind every success is a series of challenges, doubts, and setbacks that simply aren't as visible. When you compare your behind the scenes to someone else's best moments, you're setting yourself up for dissatisfaction. Another way comparison steals joy is by distracting you from your own path. Every minute spent envying someone else's progress is a minute you're not using to work on your own goals. It creates a loop where you waste energy on resentment or self-doubt instead of taking action that could improve your situation. This not only slows your growth, but also reinforces the false belief that you're inherently less capable or less deserving. Comparison also has a way of twisting the way we see success. Instead of defining success based on what matters to us personally, we start chasing whatever earns the most attention or admiration from others. This can lead to achieving things that don't actually make us happy, simply because they look impressive from the outside. Over time, this creates a disconnect between how we live and what we truly value. It's important to understand that there will always be someone ahead in some area of life, someone richer, fitter, more experienced, more talented. But there will also always be people who are looking at you and thinking you have something they wish they had. The presence of people ahead or behind on the path says nothing about your worth. Your journey is unique, shaped by your experiences, challenges, and strengths. Measuring it against someone else's path is like comparing two completely different maps and expecting them to line up perfectly. Comparison can also turn people into competitors rather than collaborators. Instead of being inspired by someone else's success, you start seeing it as a threat. This mindset closes you off from opportunities to learn, connect, and grow alongside others. It breeds jealousy instead of encouragement, division instead of community. Breaking free from this trap starts with awareness. You have to notice when your thoughts are slipping into comparison mode and catch yourself before they spiral into negativity. It also helps to shift the focus from competing to improving, measuring your progress against where you were yesterday rather than where someone else is today. This approach not only preserves joy, but also creates a healthier, more sustainable form of motivation.